Hello, citizens of the world. My name is Rich.
And I am Ben.
And this is Talking Reef Shit with Ben and Rich.
But maybe not. Maybe later we're going to get rid of shit.
We probably should get rid of shit because already YouTube won't let us use the word shit in the title.
They're cranky about shit?
It says S dash. It wouldn't let me put
I thought
S.
you did that.
No,
I thought you were censoring us.
It wouldn't let us put S dash.
Just
But
one too many dashes.
Because people would figure out that it meant shit. But I guess when they listen to us,
yeah,
we wouldn't have been saying shit a lot. So we probably need a different, or we probably should have a different name. Penn Teller had a problem with bullshit everywhere because their name was bullshit. So
yeah,
it was hard for them to win an Emmy.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's going to be really hard for us to win an Emmy.
We got to be moving towards that Emmy win.
Towards the Emmy. So first we need a TV show before.
Yes.
So we'll move towards a TV show. I like that.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
All right. So you had some stuff you wanted to talk about today for episode.
I think it would be cool. And we could do this one or the other, either or, but we could start with pumps. Saltwater aquarium pumps, and then segue into cleaning them with either the differences between using vinegar, muriatic acid, or citric acid.
So you want to talk about actual reef shit, not ancillary reef shit, not.
I'm tired of your
stuff.
Bullshit, man. I want to talk about real stuff.
I'm tired of your censorship, you shaman motherfucker.
Quit fucking putting hyphens in our cuss words.
God damn it! I demand tuna fish.
But. And you shall get it, sir. But I mean, that's crazy because, in our title, it can't say anything. But then that's almost like false advertising because you're going to trip into this video and just be assaulted by every cuss word known to fucking man.
But I think that's a lot of stuff. I mean, is the idea that, you shouldn't hear swear words. Where the fuck does that come from?
That's just from who are those Quakers or what?
Quakers, do they run the world? Who run the world? Quakers.
And they make great oatmeal too.
They do make, and crackers. Their crackers are the shit.
Speaking of crackers.
All right. So maybe people have an idea for what we should call this.
Well, did you give us some ideas so we can shoot them all down? We can shoot them all down and pick one and claim it as our own and say we had that the whole time. Yeah,
and also maybe YouTube can suck it and we'll just keep calling it Talking Reef Shit.
But eventually, then we'll never get an Emmy.
Eventually, well, that'll be harder. But eventually,
maybe we could be somewhere around like Golden Girls reruns or something.
That would be. I want to be Betty White. You can be B. Arthur.
I got to be the dead one. Is Betty White the only live one?
I think I'm going to say yes.
It's all that cocaine.
Yeah, well, she's hanging out with Snoop, right?
Yeah. She's smoking it. She's probably dead. She's just so high she doesn't even know it.
I may it be the same for us.
Yes. So let's talk about pumps and cleaning them, or cleaning them and pumps.
What about pumps? This is your idea.
Oh my God, I'm in the spotlight. Okay, let's talk about cleaning them first.
Okay.
So we don't need to do the whole intro thing like I clean aquariums and Rich is, everyone knows who Rich is.
What? Oh, I see. You're loading this.
Yes.
You're saying it. Basically, you're saying I see a shit ton of pumps.
We see shit ton of pumps for decades. Go. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to clean them because, calcium deposits and whatnot, clean them. So basically we have using distilled white vinegar, or we have muriatic acid, or we have citric acid. And so I think we should just talk about like the pros and cons about each of those.
Or there's also hope.
Hope and prayers.
Because I know that we're supposed to clean our pumps often, but I certainly don't.
You don't, and that's cool because there's the lazy reefer thing. But I mean, shit will break if you don't clean it.
But
and it'll affect the efficiency.
Well, there's a couple things on that, and then we get to pumps. I think maybe who the fuck knows?
Who cares?
Somebody cares. I'm sure one of the Ians cares. There's something about, for me, not cleaning pumps very often has not caused me any issues. I mean, if the efficiency goes down, I don't really care. I mean, because
Yeah.
until it's like 50% or something, maybe but otherwise, meh, to me. And of course, this is all to me. And I also find that, so if I don't clean a pump for 2 years, right, you should squint at that. You should go, oh my God, 2 years. That should
2
make you
years.
crazy. Yeah.
Is
2
it
years.
even still working?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then let me ask you a question though. I've been around your system, so it's kind of not fair that people watching this have never like been around your system. But I'm trying to think, like, you don't get this, like, you have so much coral in your tank. It's not like you get like massive coralline algae growth all over the place, right?
In my pumps?
Yeah.
No, I've never seen it in a pump.
Because your pumps are also kind of not buried like old school, but your stuff's kind of, your
hidden.
tank is very busy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so are we talking pumps or are we talking water motion devices?
Okay, so I'm talking, well, that's not fair enough. Cleaning main pumps. Yeah. Pumps. No, I get you there. Because it's funny, man, there's a difference between what manufacturers tell you to do, because they don't want, they need to cover their ass. Well, you should have cleaned it once a year. But it's
I'll tell you too, the older pumps, like for the first decade, my system was up. It's going on 18 years now or 19 years.
It can almost buy beer.
It can almost what?
It can almost buy beer.
It can almost buy weed in California.
Really?
I think so. Maybe it's 20.
Like, no, it's not for me. It's for my aquarium.
I don't know. I clean stuff a lot, and stuff used to seize on me. Stuff used to get the calcium buildup in the impeller well and seize, right? Or magnets used to expand and the pump would stop, right?
That's pretty typical.
So all of those things would happen, but they would also happen at 2 or 3 years on me. But I would clean them more often than I do now. Then I kind of realized that every 2 or 3 years, there's kind of a newer and better pump anyway. So maybe I don't need to do all that work. I'll just wait till it dies, right?
No, I hear you. And here's the mix-up that we got in the beginning, because I started talking about circulation pumps, and it's fair enough because we started off on a different page. So main pumps, again, it's like what I was saying a second ago. A manufacturer says, we recommend that you clean blood. I mean, even me as maintenance, man, I don't open up main pumps for no reason and start cleaning them. Main pumps.
Right.
I don't. And I would be like kind of the opposite of you. I'm like a maintenance freak about keeping stuff going, because I'm supposed to occupy the time when I'm maintaining someone's aquarium.
So when you say main pump that you don't open, you mean an external pump or submersible pump?
External or submersible, but whatever the main pump that runs your system. Like, I don't go opening those for no reason to clean them.
Yeah. So
because I don't often find that, as far as main pumps go, like,
there's not much of an issue.
I'm
always terrified if I open up a main pump or even take it offline and pull it out, unless it's a submersible one, which I think we'll all be going to instead of these externally plumbed ones. I think because it's so easy to drop a pump in now and get all the power you need than it is to plumb it all together, right?
Yeah, I mean, man, I used to be super big on external pumps, Japanese Awakis and stuff like that. And then, I mean, that was in the 90s and earlier 2000s.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I messed with I guess if we're supposed to be talking shit, can we say shit about manufacturers without, like, should we not do that?
Well, is anybody sponsoring us that we'll be pissing off?
No, so who fucking cares, right?
I don't know. Well, of course, if you say something shitty about Sicce, and then Steve hates you, you might have a harder time getting those pumps.
Steve is in love with me.
Well, then talk shit about Sicce.
But it's not Sicce. So the one I have a gripe about, and hopefully I don't get sued. I don't see why I would. But Reflow Gold.
Oh, I don't even know what the hell that is. Oh, like the Reflow. Dart pumps?
The what?
Did they also make the Dart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Sequence Gold, the external big ones, slower RPM pumps.
Oh, yeah. I haven't used those. I haven't used those in a home system in a million years.
I mean, there's also Dolphin. That's, a good company. I never used them a lot, but
I used, my system was run on an Amp Master 3K exclusively for about 10 years.
Yeah, they were supposed to be rad. I never messed with them much.
They were pretty good, but they were a big electricity draw, over
Yeah.
400 watts. So as soon as my last one stopped working, it was like, this is gone. And now I'm like on a 90-watt Fluval CS6 or something. And it's like,
Yeah, I remember messing with those under your house. Those are actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that's like a pump not a lot of people talk about, but I don't.
I think maybe that's an experience deal. It's like, because if I was shopping around, nobody would tell me to use that pump. You know, they would
Not
tell
really,
me to
because I want to talk so much shit.
They would tell me
Because
you didn't like that pump because you thought it was thin. And
no,
I said,
it's just
and I said
weird
this
because
I said the same thing to you. I said about Euro Reef skimmers. Remember Euro Reef? They used to say it's cast cell acrylic and the ASM is made from shit. And I would go,
and you're like, what are you trying to kill someone with it?
Fucking going for a touchdown pass with it? What are you doing?
If you're trying to break out of jail, I mean, you need something thicker.
So I don't care about the thinness. But so I got that first pump. Francis actually gave it to me when he worked for them. And he said, I want you to try this pump. And I did. And I bought backups because they're not that expensive. And I'm still on, like, I think I've gone through one in 5 years.
What is it? You know, this industry is so weird. Well, it's like other industries because they, they'll rebadge stuff. And so, like, if I'm trying to remember what it's based off of, like a European pump, like Ascol or someone.
I don't know, man, because when you start getting into the bigger ones, like you'd want on 1,000-gallon systems, ignoring the Abyss 400 now, right?
Yeah.
Then you need like bigger pumps, right? You want bigger centrifugal pumps. We use them at the Steinhardt all over the place, right? But who's running that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's they're huge energy hogs. They work great, but
that's what's been, I mean, not for that purpose, because for like, if you're in the Steinhardt, you need a 5 horsepower pump. Like it's a different thing.
Sure.
But there's something to be said for Abyss. I've installed 2 of them, and they're freaking incredible. They're also incredibly expensive. But man, that's like another talk that we could do. And another thing is people's, when you're buying equipment, like whether there is a weird thing where people want to buy a certain thing because they want to be perceived as cool or what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's like they're not making an earnest decision. They just want to be part of a crowd that has a piece of equipment, which is I guess there's different facets to the hobby, but it's funny because I'm just like, what the fuck does your aquarium look like? You're like bent over the wheel about this pump. Like, but people are into this for different reasons.
Sure. But also, how do you know what pump to get? You know what I mean? There's whatever's on the blogs and whatever you read on forums or groups.
Yeah.
And, that's only going to really tell you what people kind of are using right now who happen to be posting on those groups. But, you don't post on any of those groups. So how is anybody going to get that information?
I don't know.
And if I'm not posting on it, and, I would rarely post to I need a return pump because I don't know what the newest things are right now. I kind of keep an eye on it until I need a pump, and then I care. But so where am I going to tell somebody to use a Fluval?
But let's kind of back up a little bit, because let's go back to what I was doing in the beginning, which was reel back in. Not literally, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so literal.
No, because circulation pumps, which do see a lot of.
What does circulation pump mean to you?
Well, like a Vortec and like a circulation pump in the tank.
So I would call those in-tank water motion devices.
That is too long.
I know.
What are you in the military?
I know, but if you say a circulation pump, people are going to think it's the sump return.
Well, what the fuck do you want to call it?
I just told you.
That's way too long.
In-tank pump.
Circulation pump. Main pump, circulation pump. The world doesn't have to adopt my vernacular. I'm just saying,
that's what I'm trying to say.
But I get it. The main pump circulates, but Jesus, it's the main pump.
I know, but we're talking this hobby. We're not. People are still confused about what turnover means.
Which is a whole nother show we need to do as well.
Well, that's great. Let's never do any show. We're just going to keep.
Let's just talk about endless shit and just leave like unfinished.
Okay, so you want to talk about pumps like the pumps that go in the tank?
Yes, circulation, internal, whatever the fuck you just called it, internal circulation, intake circulation fuck pump.
ITCP.
Yes. Now we're getting into that acronym.
Says the man in the fez.
Yeah, but
I'm wearing a fez because your shower curtain is Jeff Goldblum with a monkey.
Yeah, look. It's Jeff Goldblum, and then there's a monkey. But I don't know what movie that's from.
It's not. And it's not
just
really, somebody's going to complain about it's a monkey because it's not a monkey, but it's a monkey.
Oh, it's a chimpanzee. No, I'm sorry.
The fucking monkey, because monkey's a funnier word.
It is a monkey.
Yeah.
Jeff, it's a shower curtain.
It's great. Is that for your wife to look at Jeff Goldblum while she's
for me, so I can
intake
for the monkey
circulation pumps.
Okay.
What
the hell were we talking about? You have them in your tank? You have gyres?
I have a lot of them in my tank. I have besides the return and then the closed loop that goes to the back of the tank.
Yeah.
I've got, and the manifold it runs for some spots. I've got,
I think from now on we should call it wool manifold.
Wool manifold?
Yeah.
Okay.
The world is tired of manifold.
What does the wool stand for?
Wool man, woman, womanifold.
Womanifold. All right.
Yes.
And there's a womanifold.
Okay.
There's 2 wave pumps.
Okay.
There's 3 gyres.
The Neptune wave.
Yeah, 2 Neptune waves, 2 like original gyres.
Max spec
130s, I think. And because they don't make them anymore and the new ones have a hard time talking to Apex, I had to like scrounge and find somebody who had a couple of them. So I have backups because I don't want to change anything again. And then I've got like one weird gyre that I put in one place to get flow in one certain spot. I don't remember. I think it's an ice cap 1K gyre. So is that all I've got? Yeah, that's it. Those. But
5. so do those get dirty frequently?
They do. I don't know how frequently. Maybe I'll pay attention to how often.
They just eventually catch on fire and disintegrate.
No, they get like, so like the propeller pumps, like the Waves and the Ecotechs, which I used to use, I just don't anymore.
Yeah.
Because for the reason I don't use the Vortex anymore is because putting them on in a certain spot with the wet end and the dry side for me tends to get caked with goo and salt and be in places that are either sticking out into a hallway or inconvenient spots. So they just kind of.
Did you used to like bump them or something?
It was, you know how my tank you can see from 2 sides?
Yeah, that's true too.
It was sticking out there. I think they're great pumps. I just changed what I felt like using, but it's the same thing. The prop pumps, the propellers in my tanks, if they're not covered with something, if there's not a light shade on them, they tend to grow algae on them, and that does impact. So I do pull them sometimes and scrub them or drop them in a sauce and let the sauce do some work. The gyres, I kind of never do anything to. I never clean them, and they run for like 4 years. I guess that's a lie. Once in a while, I pull them out and I throw some muriatic on them or some vinegar, and let them sit.
See, that's what I want to. That's what I want to get to.
Not very often.
That's what I want to get to. So, like, I do this for a living. I run around and clean aquariums. So when I'm doing something, I had to have I had to get it done. I'm not soaking a pump for 6 hours in vinegar. So vinegar and distilled white vinegar for me goes out the window. But Rich, what's this thing? Because I read it too. There was a thing for a while. I don't know if it was Reef to Reef or wherever it came across, but everyone was buzzing about how distilled white vinegar might like seep into through plastic and mess up.
I do want to say one quick thing before that is that if I was doing maintenance on people's tanks, I would, all the pumps, internal, external, whatever, would be on a cleaning schedule. I would be doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
But because I see my system every day, I run it differently than I would if it was somebody else's.
No, it makes sense to me, because I mean, also too, when I show up at a client, it's like I'm on the clock and I'm doing things, water change,
Yeah.
I'm there. I might as well do
You should-
it, and it's upkeep.
I
But
am not at
from a
all.
hobby thing, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
I don't want to say that, you shouldn't do maintenance if you think maintenance is a good thing. I'm saying in my particular instance, I choose not to for all the reasons we talked about. So somebody said something about they soaked a Vortec wet side for 24 hours and then it swelled in vinegar. They soaked it in vinegar. So they said the vinegar is invasive. And first of all, I went 24 hours, a long time. And it was 100% vinegar. It's like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But second, I don't know, is that post hoc ergo proctor hoc, or do we really know that the vinegar caused it? Because I've seen wet ends swell just when they open, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, sometimes the magnet cracks. I mean, the plastic gets separated and water gets inside of it and the magnet swells. So I don't know if I'm convinced that it's the vinegar that did it. Randy Holmes Farley chimed in on this. I haven't talked to Bingman yet. We should talk to Bingman. We should have Bingman on this show. I guess
Dude,
we
totally should.
We have to have Matt Wandell first, so he stops crying.
Yeah.
But I
the
love
big
Matt.
Baby.
Matt's a giant fucking redheaded baby, and I love his brain so much.
I actually don't like Matt.
Okay, then I'll have him on.
I love him. I don't.
You love him.
Yes.
Oh,
slow your roll.
My roll is slowed, my friend.
We're getting betrothed.
Oh, fantastic. Does his wife know?
Yeah. It's a surprise to everyone.
Anyway, Randy said that it seems chemically wise that the vinegar has a better chance of penetrating plastics than citric acid does or than muriatic does.
That's weird. I mean, we don't have to get into chemistry. That's weird. A chemical penetrating through plastic to get to a magnet.
Well, but different acids affect different things differently. So that shouldn't be that hard to wrap your head around, or my head around. I'm not going to question it. I'm just not sure a 10-minute soak in hot vinegar is going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
So I'm not convinced.
Well, I even think, I was listening to you and Terrence's podcast a couple of days ago, and you guys were talking about like doing something and then forgetting about it and then reaping the, terribleness after you've remembered it. So, I mean, I think that is something that a hobbyist could think about, is the things that you've set aside and done. You're like, well, I'm at my house. This is my aquarium. I don't have to be snappy with it.
Sure.
But I'm just saying it might be a good thing to have a task and do it and be done with it and put it back into service instead of, so you're not in those situations where you're like, oh crap.
For sure. So the chemistry seems to say that it's possible for vinegar to penetrate the plastics more than the other ones. Is that true or not? I don't know. And I'm not going to run the test because I don't care. I rarely use vinegar for that. You know what I mean? I mostly use muriatic acid.
Okay, let's talk about muriatic acid.
Yeah. Be careful if you're going to use
it's a weird
acid.
Well, so that's a weird thing that I use a lot. As a matter of fact, it stays in the back of my work truck. And but it's a weird thing to talk on a YouTube video or podcast or anything like that about muriatic acid. It's a weird thing to talk to a bunch of people you don't know about a substance that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you feel weird talking about it because you're like, I don't know if people are gonna like pour it in their eyes and go, wait, you said to use this. And it's like, yeah, but I didn't say pour it in your eyes.
I agree. This is why the pump manufacturers talk about their pumps like that. Say some stuff. I want to actually check my jug of acid and see what it's called. I think it's important.
Go look at it.
It's important.
So what I do is I just go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and you go, the ones I'm used to, it's outside. And it's acid in it. I don't know the dilution of it, but Richard got me into making what he was saying is 10%.
Yeah.
Where you do, 1 part acid to what, 9 parts or 10 parts
9 or
water,
10
something like
parts.
that.
When I say muriatic acid, I mean 10%. So I'm going to start calling it 10% from now on.
10%.
10% because while 10% still can be dangerous,
not so much. Yeah.
I'm making I mean, don't get it in your eyes, wear gloves if you want.
Do it outside, blah, blah, blah.
But that's all just protecting my own ass.
Here's kind of like a nerdy thing though. I want to like basics of chemistry. You got to remember, like, whether you were messing with whether you're messing with a base or an acid, you always put the amount of water first, and then you add the acid or the base to that.
Why is that, Ben?
Okay, I'm not a chemist, but I've read a bunch of. But
it's to avoid the splash.
To avoid the splash, but isn't it also a thing of like just the dilution rate?
Sure.
So if I had acid and I'm putting water in it, it's still highly concentrated and only diluting later. But if I do the water and start with an acid, it's just starting off as a weak dilution and only going to a certain amount. That too, right?
I think
or
so.
No?
That's what I would say. I would love it if we were totally wrong. That would be so
that would
great.
be right. But Craig or whoever else will let us know that we're total dicks
I'm
and
sure
we don't know what
everybody. I'm sure everybody will let us know who listens to this immediately.
You fucking idiot. That's
so
not
far,
what
that's
it
the
is.
kind of people that we've got.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be all cavalier. The acid I've got in the other rooms in a gallon jug, and that's non-diluted. And when I go to make my 10% out of that, I'm really fucking careful. That shit is nothing to fuck around with, and I can't believe they send it to my house in the mail.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. When you went across the other room, I don't know if you could hear, but I just go to Lowe's or Home Depot. You go outside and they have swimming pool stuff, chlorine tabs, all that. They have a cardboard box with 2 1-gallon bottles of muriatic acid, which I believe is actually just diluted hydrochloric.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I believe that's right. I would not, if there was not a fucking pandemic on, I would just go to Home Depot and get it.
Yeah. No, I get it. I live in Texas and we're free here.
Yeah, and there's no pandemic in Texas.
There's no COVID. It just stays around our borders. It's afraid of guns.
It's Texas, and it hates barbecue.
Yes, it's so dumb. But and I'll say, like, I've messed with undiluted before, and then I talked about it on Facebook, and I got chided a little bit.
Yeah, that's fucking around with something you don't want to fuck around with.
I got it on my skin.
Shut up.
I have. But don't ever do it. But I got a little on my skin. It feels a little oily, and if you get it on a sensitive part of your skin, it kind of feels like a sharp bite, like an ant bite.
And I wonder what the dilution that you were using is.
I believe it's like 30%. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with 30% either.
Well, no, and it's terrible too. Whenever I use it at work, I never do it indoors because it sets off a bunch of fumes as soon as you do it, and it burns your lungs. And if you're doing a commercial or someone's house, like, you can't do it inside.
Can't do it inside. Okay, good.
No.
Yeah. So we're fans of 10% used safely. If any of you idiots listening, which includes me and Ben,
has nothing. If you fuck up, it has nothing to do with us.
Don't listen to us about safety.
There is I say new, but I don't think it's new. But there's a thing that's getting more popular. It's the citric acid.
Yeah, you know why I haven't used it? I've got 5 pounds of it. I ordered 5 pounds of it. Because I vodka dose, I carbon dose with vinegar. I've kind of got vinegar all the way around, and I just don't want to do math or change something in my tank.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I guess I should figure out, how much of that citric acid I should add to a gallon of water and use that.
I'll find out for you.
Less plastic and shit.
Steve from Sicce will tell us. Well, I got the bottles in there because I started a conversation about it, and Steve had an orgasm and sent everyone in the comment thread like a T-shirt, a container of that. And he messed up because Jason sent me a can, and then Steve sent me a can, and Sicce was just trying to make love to me, and it was
awesome. They love you more
Goes
than
up the
me,
chain.
which I understand because I only have one Sicce pump. But they sent me that and a shirt along with anybody else who asked at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
What a bunch of whores.
I know, total whores. And
So,
what is
but
that?
some people in the thread were saying, man, you can buy a big bag of it. But I mean, for a hobbyist, what would you do with a whole bag of citric acid?
Is it just citric acid or is it some magic stuff?
It's also equal aqualizer far infrared powder.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a, you know, if this is priced comparatively to the other stuff or whatever, I don't know. There's a good reason to buy this is somebody's already done the math for you for what you're using it for and is telling you what to do with it on their product. So I think
I
that's
was given it for free, so I don't know how much it costs, but I believe that it's quite cheap. Here's the scenario where I would quit messing with 10% and start using citric acid.
Yeah.
Is if it worked as quickly. Because even though I'm well versed in messing around with 10%,
Yeah.
it's still can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So if citric acid works just as fast, it's cheap, and it's less dangerous to use than 10%, I probably would switch to citric, but I got to start farting around with it first.
I guess I got to start farting around with it more. I also use muriatic acid to kill pests.
Really? Well, I do too.
I inject it. I inject it right into them.
Yeah.
So if I got a pally or 10
like stray cats
that are growing, just the neighbor's cats, not strays. What did strays ever do to birds? But that neighbor fucking cat.
Yeah.
So I just very carefully, you know, draw it up into a syringe and inject stuff with it, or inject it under that brown sponge, the liver sponge.
Okay.
Kill that stuff off as well.
But wait, and this is a little sidestep, but if you inject that into a pally, will it just kind of like cripple it, or will it really just like go away?
I did it to one the other day. You know, maybe if I get around to it, I'll make a video, a time lapse of it. No, it's gone completely. It's 2 days. I didn't really look at it carefully for 2 more days, but when I checked on it, it was gone. It was absolutely disappeared.
I might try that.
If you don't do enough, they can kind of come back. But if you go back, you know, you can only use so much of it in a tank anyway, because it'll start to depress your alkalinity.
Yeah, Matt did a little equation for us, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Matt loves to do the details.
I've also used it to bring down alkalinity in a system.
Wow.
So, but you don't want to be careful and do math at that, right?
Oh, wait a minute. I have talked to transshippers, people that you know, stuff from like Indonesia right into I'm probably going to stumble all over this, but there's a thing where you transship fish in, you kind of skip California and transship right into you, but the things are in transit.
It lands at one place, and instead of being unpacked and unloaded there, it gets loaded straight onto another plane after customs or whatever, and gets shipped to you.
Yeah, but they'll use muriatic acid they'll check the pHs in the bag, and then they'll have like a holding system separate from the whole fish system that they'll bring that transship into. And they'll just have regular salt water, and they'll bring the pH down using muriatic acid to mirror that, and then get the fish in there. So
that's yeah. I mean, I did the same thing essentially when my auto top off nuked my tank with caulk.
Okay.
And my pH was 10.8.
Wow.
And at first I was pouring tonic water into the tank because it's just water and CO2.
Yeah.
And that would help, but my water volume was so big. And I thought about acid, but I didn't have any. What I ended up doing was bubbling CO2 directly into the tank.
Yeah.
I just took it off. I just changed which pH probe the CO2 doser used.
Oh, okay.
And just let that bubble it in, and brought it down to 9, and then brought it down to 8.
Which, man, whew.
Yeah. Oh,
like you're just running like
fish
from
that
the
were
frying
tumbling
pan into the fire.
Fish that were all dead and tumbling, when the pH came back down, they were fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you, like, in the long run, did you lose some of those not too long after? They all
none of the fish that weren't dead by the time I caught it. The corals were a disaster. It was one of the 2 disasters I've had.
Wow.
That's
so funny because like when people are asking me for the advice, like all the time, I tell them, my spiel is that, corals, they're so sensitive. They don't, even if you're moving, even if you find out a parameter or something isn't great and you're trying to move it back towards a great place, you don't want to move it too fast. But that is one of the rare situations where you got to get it the fuck down.
Yeah. It's like with acclimation, right? It's the
Yeah.
analogy I use is if you're in a garage filled with carbon monoxide,
Probably fucking, yeah.
would you rather have that big garage door opened, or would you be acclimated? Would you rather be acclimated?
Yeah, like, wait, not too fast. Hold on. Yeah,
So,
you're like,
yeah, you're running a risk, but one is going to cause death. So
yeah, but
it's worth
running through the 10s and the 9s and the 8s, and it's like you got to get it down.
You got to get it down and keep it down. When you have a cock overdose like that, a cock overdose like
wait,
that.
excuse me? A cock overdose?
Yes, a cock overdose. That's how the Germans pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Cock
Alexander
overdose.
Grau will tell you that, and from a biz.
He will.
It will keep coming back up as the tank circulates, which is why the CO2 and the pH probe and the monitor and the controller were such a good way to deal with it. Because otherwise, you have to watch it, but it would bounce from, 8.5 up to 9.5 again really quickly.
I see what you're saying. It was just it was taking care of itself, bringing itself down.
No, I was bringing it down. I was letting the controller bring it down by adding CO2.
Yeah.
But there was so much extra high pH in the system that it kept having to keep dosing over time to counteract the caulk.
Yeah, but then it was doing that without input from you, right? It was just reading it and then adding it.
Yeah. It just based on pH of the system.
Yeah, because if you were doing muriatic acid, it would be like, oh man, how much do I use? You squirt a little bit and then wait and test and squirt and wait and test and squirt and wait and test, and that would be madness.
And the beauty of this was I threw the CO2 line in the main tank where all the life was.
Wow.
And so that was the place that was getting the pH lowered first. Right, because it was like, if you had just done it in the sump, it would have taken all that time to go through. So
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, and you also have a, which we'll talk about in another one. You also have a pretty slow turnover between your sump systems and the main tank. I think it's like
800 gallons an hour or something like that.
Yeah. What's your total gallonage?
450 gallons, but it's different. It goes to different places. Here, I actually. I ordered a pH monitor, a pen, because I am curious how much the pH in here has dropped in the winter because the windows are all closed.
Yeah.
And this turnover in these tanks, system turnover, is very slow.
Yeah. Plus you talk a lot.
Plus I talk a lot. And sometimes I just open a CO2 tank in the house.
Just for shits and giggles.
Because I'm rich, bitch.
My God. So that is Jeff Goldblum and a monkey.
Yeah, fucking A. So we'll see that. We'll see if that's an issue. Even though I'm bubbling because I'm bubbling fresh air into the sump.
Yeah.
But it's so slow in here, the turnover. We'll see. We're so far in the weeds. We're talking about cleaning pumps. If you're gonna,
I don't even know who you are.
If you're, I'm Craig Bingman.
Yeah, well, nice to meet you, Craig. No, but I mean, we covered the acid thing.
Yeah,
we
so
didn't
be careful with acid.
LSD.
Now I'm scared people are going to use acid.
Yeah,
just don't use it.
If you feel scared, just go straight to citric acid.
Yeah. Vinegar will work too, but citric acid will work too.
Yeah,
whatever.
But vinegar will destroy your pumps.
Don't soak things for 48 hours or, why are you soaking it for that long anyway?
Yeah, for sure.
Because
vinegar works so damn slow. Then
if you want to make vinegar work faster, heat it up.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I used to.
But it's still, even heated vinegar still sucks.
When I used to clean my dolphin pumps, when I used to actually take the whole freaking, take it all apart and there was calcium buildup inside it. I would take those pieces and put them in a small bucket, and then I would heat up vinegar and just keep pouring it on them. And then when the vigorousness of the bubbling stopped, I would heat it up again. I'd do that 3 or 4 times, done in 15 minutes.
I like the word vigorousness.
Vigorousness. So yeah.
You know, man, I don't know that I should talk about this technicality that I'm not that sure about, but like a lot of times you'll get scale buildup on the inside of a pump on the impeller, but if there's a little friction there, because that friction causes heat, and the heat causes calcium magnesium to scale out and
or
go
if
on
it's
to
just
something.
pressure. That was a problem with a lot of
Pressure.
those pumps, is the high pressure would also help it
Yeah.
plate.
Yeah.
I remember that I had a Tunzi. What were those called? The propeller pump.
Oh, turbelles.
The turbelle. I had one of those, one of the first ones, and it would very often get locked up from
Yeah. Man,
calcium
those,
buildup.
and I have one out in the garage. Those are crazy though. That, I mean, I guess typical German stuff, but the tolerance on that
so small
impeller to the impeller well was insane.
Yeah. And when I talked to Roger about it, you know, he was like, you got to clean it more.
Bitco.
You got to clean it more. And it's like, oh, okay. So if I was running pumps that did that, I would be cleaning them more.
No, but I could see in your head, he's like, oh, well, you got to clean it more. And you're like, okay, fuck that pump.
I was like, okay, try something else.
Now I know what not to
I got this weird thing about pumps too, right? You know, are you going to spend $400 for a new really good pump and take care of it? Or are you going to spend $100 for a pump and change it every 2 years?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. I just want it to work. For me, the choice of in-tank pumps have got to be with how does it move water, and how do I want water moved for that particular pump, wherever it's going to be in my system, and how can I control it? That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I'll try any pump.
Man, having been in the hobby for a long time, the crazy thing has been watching when DC first came out, and then me trying to understand what that was and go, oh my God. But then they sucked for years.
They suck. So somebody sent me one of the first ones, or wanted me to try it, and it like died in a month. And they were like, oh, well, we're figuring it out. That's the controller. We'll send you a new one. I was like, I'm not your beta tester. I don't want to do this.
You know, the tricky thing when you run a business is because you're like something is like, you're like, oh yeah. And you want to get like 30 of them to put them out there. But I mean, that'd be a huge mistake, because you got to try one and be like, whoa, shit.
Yeah. And I don't want to screw around with the heart of my system. You know, it's, you know, that's when I moved to the Fluval, was after that. It was like, shit.
Well, in early DC pumps,
I'll try any intake pump, any intake pump. No problem.
Well, for sure.
Anything I got to plumb, I want to know it works.
I mean, one thing with early DC pumps was their control heads. That was one thing. But another thing was like, man, their pump curves for if you put pressure on them.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they caved in fast. They're like 2,000 gallons an hour. And you put like 2 foot of head pressure and they're like 5 gallons an hour.
Yeah. So what do I have actually? I've got, the return is the Fluval S6. The calcium reactor feed pump is Core 20 from Neptune.
Yeah.
And my chiller and side stream feed is a Vectra M1.
Okay.
And
when I was there, we replaced the so your feed pump for the calcium reactor is the Core, but the circulating pump was a Sicce that I retroed on there.
It's running great. The Sicce is running great.
Yeah. And all the fittings that I did and all that, it's all
there's a little bit of salt creep here and there, but it's not a big
bullshit. You're just saying that. You did it.
Look at the picture of our Facebook page on the cover, and you will see. I put that picture up just to make you crazy. Actually,
I will walk to your house just to fix it.
Yeah. Well,
from Texas.
When COVID's over, I may need you out here anyway for another piece of project.
Full send.
But anyway, I think we're coming out of time. Do we have anything else to talk about pumps, about cleaning pumps?
Like, how much time do we have?
Like 3 minutes. I really don't want these to be long, man. I see these that go on long, and I'd rather them to be sweet and delicious, and we're out, and if people want more, that's what I'd rather have.
No, I don't know what the hell I could say in 3 minutes besides that Tiger brand coffee, it's a real treat. Even tigers prefer it to real meat.
Pumps, cleaning. So, all right, I guess we've said it all. I guess
check out citric acid only mess with muriatic if you're brave,
If you got
and
big,
don't mess
giant
with vinegar. It's too slow.
Yeah.
Would you say?
If you got big giant boobs, you mess with
I was gonna say balls, but I was trying to be very 2021.
that's why I said
was like,
boobs.
yeah, boobs and balls.
Just
if you have
boobs.
boobs and balls,
Man, never mind. Just
stop, dude.
no,
Stop while you're ahead.
I'm not going that. I'm gonna think about why I like vinegar so much. I know why I like vinegar. Because I go to the store and for $3, I'm done. That's why I like vinegar.
Well, and man, I saw you use it at your house. It tripped me out because so you have all this lock line and all this stuff going everywhere and
Yeah.
salt creep everywhere. And you and I never talked about this, but you had vinegar in a spray bottle,
Yeah.
and you were spraying like the salt down at first, like, what the fuck is he doing? And then I was like, oh, that makes sense.
I'm just lessening the salt creep.
But you're kind of killing two birds in one stone, because I was like, I don't know why I thought this in, but I was like, wait, he's getting vinegar in the tank. And I was like, wait, that's good.
Yeah. For my system, it's fine. It don't matter none. But
Don't matter none.
But I believe citric acid will do the same thing. So I should probably, let's get Matt on, or Craig, or both of them, and talk about this a little bit. And then they'll go, you're an idiot. You should be using more citric acid.
We should have one on a time, because if we have so many people, it would just be the Tower of Babel.
No, just one at a time.
Yeah.
You got anything going on in the next few days that is interesting to people who are listening?
Every single day I do something weird. I could talk about it now, but you didn't leave me enough time.
You can just say what you got coming up. You got clients every day. You got a big.
Yesterday I was cleaning my tanks on my regular schedule. I get an emergency call from a tank that's about 45 minutes away, and I was like, crap. But I've had this client now for 8 years. So I told the guy to go down to the pump house and look at everything, and I realized I'll make a show about it once, but it's this one ball valve that I left open that I can either divert the skimmer, the crap coming out, the effluent, down into their drain, or if I close it, it goes to an Avast Marine Davy Jones skimmate locker.
Yeah.
And while I'm there, we'll do another show about this as well.
The wet skimming. I know you and I both love it.
And so when I get there, I turn on the ball valve to let it divert out. I pour water in, just make the skimmer puke. But I'm like anyone else, even though I'm like try to be. Yeah, and I was like, I just left it open so the skimmer continued to puke, but it's not that big of a total system.
Sure.
And so it used everything from the ATO, and then.
Did you have? So you went back out?
I drove all the way out there, but here's the good thing, and for if any service people are watching this is interesting. So I clean that tank once a week. So the way I treat this, because I don't want to hit anyone with an extra service charge if I don't have to, and I don't want to put myself out there and not get compensated for it either. But I'm lucky on this system because I go there once a week. So we only have like some sort of emergency maybe once a year. And so whenever that happens, I'm supposed to be there Thursday. This emergency call brought me out there Monday. So I fixed the problem. I also did maintenance, and then that was it for the week.
Yeah, you'll be back next week.
And I don't have to hit them with some sort of charge.
That's awful nice and stupid at the same time.
I know I'm sweet and forgetful and ADD and idiotic and smart all at the same time.
Do you charge for travel time?
I charge people just to look at me.
Oh, how much are you charging me?
No, I don't charge for travel time because this is my regular client. So it's already like whatever I'm charging them per visit.
All right, we should end. Do I have anything interesting coming up? Probably not.
Rich, do you have anything interesting coming up?
You know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to take a video of my show tank because I need to go in and hack a bunch of stuff up. It's that time. Stuff is too overshading other things. It's time to chop, chop, chop.
Man, your purple acro in the front, that thing freaks me out.
That's looking good.
But it's so precarious.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you look at it crooked and it just falls apart.
Super glue's your friend.
It is.
I'm not going to chop that one. That one's looking really good right now. There's some other thicker ones that they're looking okay, but they're shading areas and they're not good enough to devote, the space to. So that's what I got coming up.
Sweet.
Right on. So,
right on.
I don't know. Like it.
That's it.
People watching, if you like it, great. If you don't,
Fuck off.
fuck off. Well, I don't know. I don't know why we're just doing this. For
Help
fun
us
right
come
now.
up with a new name.
Oh yeah, new name. And who's going to be a sponsor brave enough to
Yeah.
throw in with
I
this
bet you
fucking
Steve
bucket
would.
of shit?
I bet you Steve would.
Well, we'll see.
Let's
We'll see.
pander bear.
I don't know if we want to pander, because I mean, if
I don't
anybody
like
wants to
pandering. They're just gonna have to have big enough balls and boobs
Right.
to hang with it.
right? Because we're not going to not talk shit if
Like-
there's something to talk shit about.
Like
Oh.
who's ever watching this? They tune in next, and you and I are acting all like nuns.
Nuns. Yeah. You know, we talked some shit about some old Tunzi products, but eventually we're going to talk about some of the new pumps are great, and we'll talk about that fucking magnet
for sure.
scraper. That
Yeah.
fucking
Oh, dude.
magnet
Yeah,
scraper.
that is. I mean, as a maintenance guy, I'm sorry, we can get into argument, but nothing compares to that magnetic scraper for
Holy
glass.
shit. And on that note, we got to end because we're going to run out of time. And all
right,
on
bye.
the Zoom. All right, Ben, what's your exit phrase? Mine is be kind to each other.
Mine is nanu nanu.
Perfect. Have a good week, everyone. Talk to you later.